Welcome to another OB-6 tutorial. Today we're going to go deeper into the Xmod section because what I want to do with this is show you some more melodic ways to use this. The way I think of it is it gives you access to another modulation oscillator, which can either be, audio rate for FM or it can be an LFO. And I'll show you how to disengage VCO2 to do that. And then gives you access to another modulation envelope. So it takes over the filter envelope, so it can be going towards filter and something else, or it can just be turned off for the filter and going to something else. Really useful stuff. If you kind of play around with it, you'll find uses for it. So let's start. We're going to start with VCO1. So what this is assigned to is the pitch. So if I take my VCO2 here and I turn it up a little bit, we're going to get FM because VCO2 is following the keyboard and it's tuned to the first oscillator. You'll hear all those nice sidebands that are produced by the FM. So it's just, this is kind of your more metallic sounding stuff. And in terms of usefulness, you can find ways to morph between different stuff. Okay, but where this really shines is if we disengage the keyboard. So our VCO2 is at a fixed oscillator. So that gets some pretty useful, like, cinematic types of sounds. Sorry, let me turn off the reverb here. And you see what I'm doing is adjusting the pitch of VCO2 to get this FM to sound the way I want. And obviously if we add filter to it, we'll get some other stuff that's a little more effective. But we don't have to do it that way. We can put VCO2 in low frequency mode. So now we have an extra LFO assigned to pitch. So this is how we get our vibrato. And then the cool thing about this is we do control the shape of VCO2. So and I've actually used this in film scores, maybe it's a little slower frequency, but the square wave attached to VCO1 from VCO2 gives you some nice warbling pitches. And again, square wave pulse width matters. Okay, so that's your pitch. I find this gets more useful when we get into shape and pulse width. So I've got a triangle wave here on oscillator 2. We're just going to turn it up a little. And you'll hear the shape, so it's just like we're automating turning this shape knob here. And there's some interesting things that happen when we speed this up to audio rate. I'm going to give you some reverb. And turn the filter down a little so this becomes a little more of like a useful sound. Okay, same thing with pulse width. And there's some useful pulse width modulation happening just by having the VCO2 in LFO mode. Frequency, we just find the frequency that sounds right to us. Okay. Filter frequency works the same way. We are just assigning a oscillator to the filter frequency. All right, and we can control the shape. The really cool thing about this is that, because we have 6 oscillators inside, they don't have to be synced. Okay. Filter mode is also very useful. Okay, I take these long evolving things mostly. Let's do kind of in between there on the first oscillator, and we'll play some chords. Let's see. Okay, so obviously that's a pretty extreme example. Let me turn down VCO2 to where we get, So there we get a little flavor of this knob turning. We're going from low pass to notch to high pass on that side. And then last but not least, normal and band pass. So we're just kind of panning between our normal type of, wherever this knob is set. This is where you have to really think through it, right? Because we've got a low pass filter going to band pass, but we could also have a notch going to band pass or high pass filter going to band pass. The other thing to be really aware here is filter frequency matters a lot for the bandpass filter. There's bandpass, back to low pass. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. We're just really using VCO2 as an LFO or as an audio rate oscillator for modulation. Okay, you can also, turn this up if you've got things set the way you like. Like I can have a lot of movement here. Let me make sure. Okay, so VCO2 is tuned to oscillator 1. If we play a chord, but we've got shape here. Okay, so tons of movement there, with both the oscillators going, but VCO2 is just changing this shape of VCO1. So it just creates interest. Another fun thing you can do is set VCO2 to a square wave, put it in low frequency mode, set up an arpeggiator, and assign VCO2 to filter frequency. There we go, find the right frequency, and let me set a kick drum. So in that setup, I've got a square wave turning the filter frequency up and down, instantaneously because of the square wave. The pulse width changes the rhythm, and we've got like a whole thing happening here just from the two oscillators. Okay, something to try out. Secondly, filter envelope. So if we assign, I'm going to turn off my reverb, make sure it's off. Let's assign filter envelope to VCO1. So how does that work typically? So now this envelope's controlling the pitch of oscillator 1. And it's like, great, how is that useful? Well, if we have a kick drum, let me turn the pan spread down. Yeah. And we turn the filter frequency down too, and yeah, now we can make drums with this. And again, which oscillator shape you use matters in terms of the sound of this drum. So drums from the OB-6. We can assign it to shape, which is kind of an interesting exercise of finding the right place to put the sustain knob. So right now we're not modulating filter frequency. We're just modulating shape. Let me get this set up right. And again, this has a plus and a minus because these knobs have left and right? So if I'm all the way to the left on VCO1 in terms of the shape, I need to turn this filter frequency to the right to make the knob go right. Same thing. If I've got the knob all the way to the right, I need this knob all the way into the negative to move it properly. Let's do a slow attack. And you hear all that change happening within a note. Kind of cool. Same thing with pulse width. We want to be on a square wave on oscillator 1. Turn the... So, decay, sustain, all of this has an effect. There you go. So we can have slow attack, slow decay. If we have a fast attack with a fast decay, you hear that bump in there because the decay is declining very quickly to sustain. Filter frequency, I wouldn't mess with it because this envelope already can be assigned to the filter via this knob over here on the far right. But filter mode has some interesting stuff to... Oops, not there. Filter mode has some interesting stuff to it. So we go from low pass to high pass and back. Okay, so I can think of some uses for that if we had some chords. Maybe the second oscillator 2. Let's tune them together. And obviously, this is a little extreme. Let's not go that extreme. Right? So really useful. That's a very complex sound from very simple modulation. Same thing with the normal versus the bandpass. And we can do all this fun stuff here if we put a delay on it. So you see here what's happening here is this decay is sort of re-triggering the delay as it has that big bump from bandpass back to low pass. So I hope this gives you some ideas to try. And obviously this is mix and match, right? Because we have an LFO, we have a volume envelope, we have a frequency envelope, and we have some options for how to assign these across different things. You can even get, to some extent, not really. You can get audio rate filter modulation. You can get audio rate pitch modulations, but that gets into more metallic sounds. This was more focused on how do I have something that has chords and melody. So I hope that helps.